All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our virtual WebCenter booth. This will be our final session as we kind of come out of the MAIC. I know it's been an incredible couple weeks and so many developments continuing already. I know the company is already pushing forward to our Market America World Conference, which will be in March, but we are all systems go, making sure that we kind of fulfill all those promises that come out of an event and make sure that things are on track, but we roll right into the next thing as we build from event to event. But we have been really excited about offering this virtual WebCenter booth because we know a lot of times at the event we get a lot of traffic, a lot of questions at the WebCenter booth in the concourse. So this has been a great way to have some discussion, some open forum, but also to meet some of our professionals, right? The teams of professionals that support you and your clients. And today is no different. Today we're going to have our guest panelist is from MA Web Centers, handles our digital marketing products and services. He has worked on probably most of your DMP clients. I know there's a couple folks in the office, but he is always so attentive to the needs of your clients, and certainly when it comes to search engine optimization, and we've also got Google advertising, we've got the social media management. But without further ado, I'm actually going to turn it over to our panelist today. He's going to do a little bit of an overview on our DMP products, and then we do have the chat box that will be open, and we will open up to some Q&A as we conclude the session. And as all these sessions are recorded and loaded on our YouTube channel, we'll make sure that you guys have access to that playlist in the WebCenter owner support group. So without further ado, let me go ahead and turn this over to Mr. Randy Justice.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Let me get my slides up and running for you, and we'll get started. Okay. Is everyone seeing my slides okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, excellent. As Jason said, my name is Randy Justice. I am the head of the DMP department here at MA Web Centers, and I've been here since the beginning. I actually started out as a technical support rep, so if you've been around for a really long time, you may remember me back from way back when. And once we founded this is what I've been doing, and if you do anything with DMP, you're going to come through me in some way, shape, or form. So today we wanted to go through and, of course, talk about the digital marketing products, what they can do for you, what their limitations are, and answer any questions that you might have. Regular questions are a thing that we deal with on a regular basis. If you've ever asked a question for us, you've most likely gotten a long and very detailed response from me. It is a thing that I do. I am known for rambling on and on. So today I'm going to try to stay on focus as much as possible so you're not all stuck here with me rather than being with your families or out going after your next client. So let's move along. So first slide, demystifying digital marketing products. So today, as I said, we're going to talk about what are the digital marketing products, who can use our different DMP because there are some limitations on it. What is the DMP process? This is a question that we get quite a bit, so hopefully I can add some clarification to this today. And what will or won't the DMP teams do for my product, for my clients? Most of the time, a lot of stuff, but we do have our limitations. What are digital marketing products? So search engine optimization is obviously probably our flagship product as far as DMP goes. Back when we first started it, that was the only thing that we had, and it's still the thing that we sell the most and is in the most demand. Search engine optimization is treated by a lot of people sort of like magic, in which they don't really understand how it works, why it is useful, or they alternately expect too much from what SEO can actually do. We do offer two variations on the type of SEO that we do provide. We have our local organic SEO packages and we have our regional SEO packages. And we will discuss the differences between those two. One thing that's important to remember when you're talking to any potential clients who may be interested in search engine optimization is to, well, it's something that I would appreciate if you could help to manage the expectations. Sometimes we get clients who come in with a brand new website that is either brand new right out of our design center and is ready to go, and we love to grab a hold of those and get them ready and finish the product, get it out, and get you ranking as quickly as possible. Other times, we actually have some people that bring us a blank template, and if you just have a very basic SEO package, like our local SEO package that does not include content development, you leave us with not a whole lot that we can really do for you. And in some cases, we do request that you build out the website a little bit more so that you can actually get the value that the client is paying for the optimization of the website. I mean, if there's no text on a website, it has a single page, and you're trying to rank for a very competitive keyword, I will always be honest with you. I will always be honest with you as the web center owner and as your client, that you have to have something for us to work with in order to actually optimize it for you. And we always want you to get what you're paying for. So if you can keep that in mind when you're doing a sale, when you're talking to a client, it's a great chance for an upsell. If they're brand new and getting a new website, talk to them about Design Center. And once they're done with the Design Center, we are more than happy to step in and take over from that point. One of the major questions that we really get is the difference between the local organic SEO and the regional organic SEO. The names can be a little misleading. The local, obviously, as the name sounds, is primarily intended for smaller local areas, geographically speaking. So if you are a barber or whatever in a small town, then a local organic SEO package, if you're only trying to rank for your own local area, is probably going to be ideal for you. Now, if you are, say, a plastic surgeon in Los Angeles, a local SEO package is unlikely to really cut it, because you're going to need to, as an example, we'll actually switch over to New York City. With all of the various boroughs in New York, each one would really count as its own for like a local SEO package. Regional SEO, we would much more likely be able to cover all of New York or the state of New York. We can even cover like the Northeast, the Southwest, all of things like that. But it's really more a matter of the amount of people in the general space that you're trying to reach. But that's not the only real limitation, or the only real, there's no limitation. You don't have to, if you're trying to reach a big area, just go with a regional SEO just because that's what you think you need. If you've already got a lot of text and you really just want us to go through and make sure that your code is clean, that you are not running with a lot of broken links, that your general meta tags are all properly done, and that there are no obvious technical issues, a local SEO can do for you then too. And if you're in a small area and you want to expand and you need text added to the site, then a regional SEO can benefit you there as well. Now, the regional SEO, the major difference is we do optimize a few additional pages, and it comes with 1,000 words of professionally written content. So that is a big selling point for a lot of individuals. And for the regional SEO, the content that comes with it, we will actually, well, I personally usually do this, we'll review your site as it currently exists, review your competitors as are discussed in our intake forms, which we'll talk about later. And I will actually develop a content strategy based on the content that is already there and what your competitors are doing, what is ranking locally for keywords that you have requested or that are in a similar vein. And then we'll send that over to our copywriter. He'll contact you directly with the content notes that we have developed for you. And we'll go from there. He'll ask for any additional information that he needs, and you'll get a chance to review it and everything after the content is written. I will look over it again myself. Nothing gets through to the integration phase with the regional SEO without us looking over it and you being happy with it. So it's a really big addition that's the real good upsell for the regional SEO. But as we'll discuss a little further down, we do have individual content packages as well. They're 500-word add-ons, and they can be added onto any of our packages. It's quite common for them to be added onto either local SEO or even regional SEO, just to expand the amount of content that is available for you. Okay, Google advertising, also known as Google Adwords. The name recently changed for reasons. Google, you know how it is. These you've probably seen, whether you realize them or not, whenever you do a Google search for really anything, in the top of the screen or at the bottom of the screen, sometimes on the right-hand side, you'll see smaller boxes that have things that are remarkably relevant to the things that you're searching for. That's what a Google AdWord or Google Ads looks like. And we offer 3 package levels of Google AdWords. We have a basic, we have a premium, and we have a platinum. The main difference between the 3 packages that we offer is the amount of budget that the ad has. So if you are looking to reach either a larger area or go for more competitive keywords, then we will recommend one package or another. Now, obviously, we like to have cheap options because not everyone, especially now, has the expendable marketing budget, but we don't want to keep anybody, we don't want to leave anybody out in the cold. So even with just a basic AdWords package, then you are at least getting something. And AdWords packages are great because if you're a new business just starting out, or you've purchased a website with us and you have a new website that's not ranking yet, Google AdWords can really, really give you the opportunity to show up and have real estate on a search engine results page that you would not otherwise necessarily be able to get organically, at least not easily, and some words are nearly impossible unless you're Amazon or something like that. Google AdWords gives us a way to work around that and give you exposure on demand, basically, in ways that other Google services really don't allow. Now, Google advertising versus our next topic, Facebook advertising, work in 2 different ways. Google advertising is more based off like how you would do a Google search. So if a client is looking to do a Google advertising, it's a good idea to discuss with them the kinds of keywords that they are looking to have their ad accompany. As an example, if you were a bike rental place in Virginia Beach, then we would be able to have an ad for somebody that would show up if somebody was looking for bicycle rentals in or around Virginia Beach. Same thing for here, where we are in Las Vegas. There's plenty of things that Google Ads is great for that you might otherwise not be able to reach because of, you know, the casinos, and the markets can be very saturated, and Google Ads lets us work around that. Facebook ads. Well, Facebook is, of course, the largest social media and the social media platform currently, and pretty much everybody's on Facebook, whether they're on there a lot, whether they're on there for work, whether they're on there to keep up with family or friends. Facebook knows a lot about everyone. Facebook ads actually function in a different way, whereas Google AdWords focuses on keywords. Facebook focuses more on demographics. So as an example, earlier this week, I was working on an ad for an up-and-coming author who had a very specific demographic that they were looking to target. So I was able to set the ad to target the geographical location that they were looking for one state in specific, and the age range for the target that they're trying to get. And I was able to target, without going into too much detail, they were looking for parents of children within a certain age range that had a certain set of interests. So we were able to set that and thus target that specific group, and it'll only target those people. It won't target anything beyond that. And of course, Facebook ads, as opposed to Google ads, also has a visual element to it, whereas Google ads is all text-based. Facebook can take video, single image, multiple image. There's lots of different options that we can do with Facebook ads. I actually run those myself personally. Each and every one of them doesn't go out without me looking at it, and usually I set them up from beginning to end, all the way to for the life of the project. So one of the things that comes up fairly regularly and is an important thing to keep in mind for Facebook ads is that in order to run Facebook ads, Facebook does require that the business in question has a Facebook business page. Now, I know there's a lot of confusion for some individuals about the difference between a personal Facebook profile and a business page. To make it the easiest that I can explain it, the Facebook business page is a like page. If you were to go to Coca-Cola or any other major business that you can think of, any brand off the top of your head, you go to their page and you like it rather than send them a friend request. If you send a friend request, it's a personal page. And if you like it and it has lots of all business oriented things, then it's a business page. Now we do set up business pages, very basic ones for anyone who does not have one. And even if they were to end their packages with us, they get to keep that. And that's no extra charge. It's a requirement for the ads to run. So we do it and we set it up for them and it's theirs to keep no matter what. We've had people ask in the past whether this was an extra charge or anything, and you can assure them that it's not. It's very basic, but it will be left in their control and to use as they see fit. Social media management actually goes quite well with Facebook advertising. Social media management has been a very important part of online marketing for quite a few years now. There was a lot of resistance to it when it first started becoming a thing, but these days it's pretty much a given. That being said, a lot of small to medium business owners don't have the funds for hiring a specific social media person, or don't have the time to do it themselves or the inclination to do it themselves. Our social media management package is especially great for those kinds of people. Pardon me. We will do 10 posts a month for them, and we can set up any social media profiles that they may have. Most of the time people like to do Facebook because obviously it is the largest social media platform, but we also have done Twitter, Instagram, and various other things along those lines. There are some caveats for like Instagram because it is very image-based. We will have to be in regular contact with you and you'll have to provide us the images. As much as we'd all love to be able to travel to everybody's individual locations to take photos for them, it's just not something that we can really do. We stay in very regular contact with the clients. This is one of the ones where the client interaction with us is at its most regular, simply because we need to know what's going on with the business. We need to learn to speak in the business's voice, whether it's for the post or for a reply to a comment. And we want your clients and these businesses to have their best face forward and to be perceived the way that they want to be perceived with their brand on social media, wherever that may be. Well, something that just occurred to me. We have been asked many times if there's a way to add extra posts to the 10 post limit for the single package. Currently, the way that we do that is we encourage you to buy multiple packages. That would just double everything. So we have all the same stuff, but you'll get double the amount of posts, double the amount of replies, and so on and so forth. Online reputation management. The online reputation management package really comes into play when you consider the damage that even a single errant negative review can do to a business online these days. It could be something as a disgruntled employee, a competitor who just wants to try to sink your ship. Our online reputation management package is one of our more in-depth and large because there's so many moving parts. At its basic, we will track your presence online, and if we find negative reviews, then we will be able to respond to them quickly and professionally to help negate damage. In many cases, just leaving a negative review with no replies is far more damaging than a professional quick reply that apologizes for whatever the transgression was, tries to get to the bottom of it, and ensures them that it will be fixed. As with social media management, online reputation management does require a fair amount of interaction between our team and the client, simply because we want to respond in ways that will be things that, one, you're willing to agree to, and two, that we speak, again, in your voice. We don't want it being super obvious that it's a third party that is responding to the questions. And in such cases, one of the main things that people think is that we can simply remove the negative reviews. I really, really, really wish that were true. Unfortunately, that's just not the way that it works. So in those circumstances, what we are able to do, and this is where the more complex parts for online reputation management come into play, we have to begin what is called a suppression campaign. A negative review doesn't do much if it doesn't show up, if people don't see it. And one of the best ways to do that is for other things that are positive or that you want to show up in search rankings and stuff first. So if you don't have a social media presence, we can help you set one up. If your website isn't ranking for certain words, or you don't have control of like a Yelp profile or something to make a reply, we'll help you set all of those things up. We'll monitor it for you. We'll let you know what's going on with your business, and we'll do everything that we can to help push down anything negative and bring up things that are positive. We'll also, if we notice something that's very common, regular complaints, we'll let you know what those are in case you have a problem, the client has a problem employee that they're not aware of, or the circumstances are varied and individual as everything. The content writing, as discussed previously, can either be purchased individually as 500-word blocks, or it can be purchased as add-ons to any of our other services that we offer, or Design Center as well, for developing content for a brand new website. Comes in 500-word blocks, and there's no limit on how many that they can purchase at any given time. Fairly recently, we did a regional SEO package that was 4,000 words, 1,000 for the basics, and they bought enough content add-ons to basically flesh out the entire site. And the site was looking very good at the end of that whole project. The content was tight. We were able to work directly with the content manager to make sure everything was optimized and ideal for the keywords that they were looking to rank for. And it's just a great option for anyone who doesn't feel like writing, doesn't have faith in their own writing ability, or just doesn't have the time. A lot of our services are just specifically great for small to medium business owners who are very busy people. They don't have the time or the inclination to perform some of these things, or they can't afford like a larger agency of specialized people that can take over absolutely everything. We don't feel anybody should be left out. So our offerings are meant to be in the affordable range, professionally done, and accessible to everyone. Who can use the different DMP packages? For the most part, pretty much everybody. Each individual platform, especially when we're dealing with a third party, such as Facebook, has its own limitations. Facebook has certain shackles on it now, as far as government control goes, in which can occasionally cause certain types of businesses to have difficulty advertising on Facebook. This applies to Google as well, though Google is not quite as stringent about it. As some examples, weight loss supplements, plastic surgery, anything that could be considered critical of body image. And things like financial items are oftentimes flagged as well. In some cases, because I've been doing this for a very long time, I know the proper paths to work through those and stay within Facebook's guidelines. Every once in a while, it will come up that Facebook will just simply not allow things, and then under those circumstances, no one's left out, no one's left high and dry. We will discuss with the client at that point either transferring things to another package that we can offer them, or worst case scenario, we'll refund them and keep in contact with them to make sure that they know that we're here, we have their best interests at heart, and whenever they're ready to market in another way, we have the services and we're always going to treat them correctly. It's always been one of my particular ways of doing business with my clients is it's better to be honest, upfront, and straightforward with everyone, and know that so that they know that their business and their success is more important to us. That's how we build long-term clients. And we have many clients now who have come and gone with us for many, many years. I have one particular Facebook ad client who's been working with us for about 4 or 5 years. She comes back on seasonally and runs throughout the holiday season. And at the end of that season, she ends her packages and comes back the following year. And that's how we like to do business. It's great to have everybody come back and see how they've grown in the last year. I've good personal relationships with a few of them, as far as like they know my wife's name and everything like that. And it's a very family kind of feel is what we try to portray with our DMP department, and it's the way we've always been, and we always will, so long as I have any say in the matter. Okay, and another big thing, one of the things that actually makes us very unique as far as the MA Web Center services is, unlike our design center and our managed monthly services, we do not require a client to have a website with us in order to be able to perform their services. We can do SEO on pretty much any platform, so long as there is controls to allow us to do so. Some ones are limited on that, and we'll work in everything that we can. Of course, we always want everybody to be on our platform, and we'll always encourage them to do so, but no one is ever left out. So if you've got a potential client who is happy with their website, but is not so happy with their rankings, then you can still sell SEO packages to them. If they are happy with their rankings, but they don't have a social media presence and want to rectify that, we can help. If they want to run ads, any of those things, no limitations on any of those things. We're not limited by that, and it's a great way to bring in a client, let them get a feel for how we work, and hopefully win them over to bring all of their online services over to work with us. All right, what is the DMP process? That's a good question. Each of the individual packages, of course, has its own requirements that are needed. As a general rule, this list is pretty good. The product is purchased. When the product is purchased, it goes through our system and a notification is generated and sent to myself, and I will send out a welcome packet. Each welcome packet is tailored to the particular packages and services that the client has purchased. And they include a questionnaire, an intake questionnaire for new clients that allows us to get an idea of who the business is, what their online presence is like, what their idea of success is, who they believe their greatest competitors are. And in the case of like SEO, we do ask what keywords they think are the ones that they should rank for. And we use that as of course, as a basis. All of the information in it is very useful to us. It is long, so do be aware that if you sell an SEO package, the SEO intake client form is a bit lengthy. I think it racks up at about 5 pages. Not all of it is required, but we do encourage everybody to fill it out as fully as possible. If they do have questions or they're not comfortable, with answering the questions and they want somebody to hold their hand and walk them through it, we're happy to do so. All they need to do is reply to us and let us know that they would like somebody to sit down and do the questionnaire with them, and we will schedule a time with them as soon as possible to go through it. And that's for all of the individual services that we offer. Has their own individual questionnaire. Some are longer than others. The SEO is by far the longest. I believe the Adwords is one of the shorter ones, and each one is unique. If they buy multiple packages, they'll get one for each individual one, except for in the cases where the same form can cover both things. We don't want to make anybody do extra paperwork unless they absolutely have to. The other thing that is included in these welcome packets is a service agreement, which legally gives us the ability to create social media for them, to make changes to their website for search engine optimization and things of that nature. If they have any questions about this form, they're more than welcome to ask us, and we're happy to go into and explain any individual parts. I've had clients bring certain elements of it to me and ask me to elaborate on it, and I've done that many times. And we can usually answer questions for them and help them feel secure and safe in signing the form. For search engine optimization, in the case that the client is not on our web host, then we will also require from them login information to their website, whatever the host may be that Wix, be that WordPress, any of the generally major ones. We've done all of those. Actually finished doing a Wix one just yesterday. For social media management and Facebook advertising, we will also require access to their Facebook or whatever social media profiles they would like us to manage on their behalf, and we can walk them through how to do this. We provide a written and visual way of doing it, and we will also call and walk them through it directly if that is needed. We know everybody follows things in different ways, and we want to get it through as quickly as possible and make sure that their packages are up and running and providing the benefits as quickly as we possibly can. In many cases, the client will be busy. And if they have one of the ongoing packages that bills on a monthly basis, such as the social media, Facebook ads, Google ads, and so forth, the billing starts immediately, but if it takes a little while for them to get their paperwork back to us, even with us trying to follow up with them, it's good to know that you can inform the client that none of the budget that they've paid in is ever lost. Whenever they're ready to begin, the budget is there and waiting for them, and they can then opt to either just start from then and go forward, or in some cases we've had a few people just want to double up if they were like a month behind and start the ads out with a double budget, and that is something that we can do as well. We want to work with clients in any way that's going to be the most beneficial for them. We always want to make sure that there's never anything lost, even if they're busy. We understand what it's like to be busy, and we're here to help. So yes, going forward, the paperwork is sent out. Under normal circumstances, we then have a follow-up call that will happen within 2 days of the purchase. We're slowly bringing everyone back from furlough now, and so we're getting back to normal, and that will be the way of things going forward. That gives them the opportunity, one, to know that the welcome packet has been sent to them. If they have any initial questions about anything that they purchased, we're then able to answer those immediately so that they know what's going on from go, and helps them to make sure that they know where to send the paperwork when it's done and who to contact for their individual services, because we're a team of specialists and each of us has our own things that we focus on primarily. It's always a safe bet that you can contact me and I can get you into the right person, whether that you're a WebCenter owner or the clients themselves. If they don't know who to contact, contacting me will always get you to the right person. Once the forms are returned, we will review them all and make sure that all the information that is in it is what we need. If they leave any questions in there, we try to address those. And once everything is in, or even as they come in individually, we'll update the client, let them know that we received it in good order, provide them a written receipt that the forms are in, so they know what still is left and what needs to be done. And if everything is done, then we'll go into a summary of the next stages of the project, which of course each project is going to be different. Facebook ads will require granting the advertiser access, creating the ad, getting ad approval from both Facebook, and giving the chance for the client to do a review. When we never post the ad until after the client has had a chance to review and gives us the okay. We want to make sure that the wording is acceptable to them, that the images are acceptable to them, and that they are happy with the ad before it goes live. Now, the ad creation, of course, we will take everything that they put into their forms into account, but we also use our years of experience doing these to tweak things and optimize things and make sure that money's not being thrown away. For Google Ads, then we would create their ads, and they would again get a review process, and each of the different packages has its own individual parts here in the middle specifically. And if you ever have any questions about any one individually, so that we're not here talking about each minutiae of every detail, always feel free to reach out to me at any time, and I'm happy to go into as much detail as you like. And moving on from there. Depending on the package, again, the client will either receive regular updates, usually on a monthly basis with reports, such as for an ad. We send out Google AdWords reports and Facebook ads reports on a monthly basis. And we give them the opportunity to ask any questions. We try to explain what everything means, because we know it's a lot of colored squiggly lines on a screen with a lot of numbers that don't necessarily make sense. And we want to make sure that they know what they're getting, what they're looking at. And if there's any requests for changes or anything, we will make changes to the ad on a monthly basis. As a general rule, sometimes if there's more, if something comes up, or if there's a special event or something that they want to run for, we're always willing to work with them and get everything changed as quickly as possible to their satisfaction. For packages that are one-time, such as search engine optimization, once all the forms are turned in, we give them a estimated delivery date. And I try to explain to them that the delivery dates are estimated, because until we really get in there and have completed all of our scans and gotten our hands into the code, as it were, we can't tell off the top of just by a glance necessarily anything that we might find. In some cases, we'll get through 3/4 of the way through an optimization of a site, and we'll find some like really messed up code in there that needs to be fixed, or any number of things that are potentially come up. But we always want to, we don't want to have a set delivery date that is immutable, just in case, so no one gets anything left behind on their sites just because of an arbitrary date. But we try to stay in contact with them and let them know what's going on. And then once the project is completed, they will receive a very detailed closing report and you have the opportunity to ask us any questions. We also like to make it a point to leave suggestions for things that they can keep in mind going forward. If we would suggest that they separate out their services into individual pages, because that makes it easier to rank for those individual services, we'll discuss that. We'll tell them why, try to make it as clear as possible. And generally things like that. Each one is, of course, individual. Everybody is unique, and that's what keeps this interesting. Okay, what will or won't the DMP teams do for my client? Each of the packages does have its own set of parameters. Those can be found online. For all the specifics, And as it says here, you can check out the FAQ for any of the specific questions like that. If you're unsure about anything, you're also, of course, always welcome to reach out to me as well, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. If you have a special exception or you're looking for something that we don't necessarily normally offer, whenever possible, we like to try to do custom work for individuals, but as a general rule, you can easily find all of that stuff online, and we're happy to answer any questions or go into details as to why those limitations are there, or talk to you about exceeding those limitations if necessary. And that's the end of our slides. So it brings us to the Q&A questions. If any of you guys have questions for me, I'll try to answer any questions that Jason or Brett want to bring up to me, and anything else, if it's too specific or I would ramble on for too long about it, we can always move it to an email form and I can discuss those things with you directly at a later time. But all right, here's the floor.
That was great. Thank you so much, Randy. Lots of great positive comments. Everyone's just really impressed about your knowledge bank, right? It's so thorough and everything. So I know we all appreciate it. I would say that for the most part, a lot of our web center owners are really familiar with the website process, the web design process. But it seems like there is this like mystification around digital marketing, and
Sure.
a lot of that also comes from the marketplace and our clients. Our clients aren't sure about it. They might have had negative experiences with digital marketing products in the past from other vendors. They're paying a monthly bill and they have no idea what they're getting for it.
Sure.
I've got a college student doing my SEO or my social media. I've got someone else that I pay for my Google ads, and they're just throwing money out every month, but they're not really seeing that return. So it's great to have some of these parameters to work with, but that's what we're faced with as web center owners when they ask us, well, what makes you different? So I think you did such a great job. So I appreciate that. I've got a whole bunch of questions myself, but before I do that, I'm going to turn it over to any of our other attendees. You can use the chat box or go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any specific questions for Randy or Brett.
Hey, Randy, I have a question.
Sure.
So I have a client. He's never done any digital marketing before. Like, to him, websites and Google ads and Facebook ads is like a blur. It's like blank.
Sure.
So as Brett mentioned, right? So one of the questions was asked is that, okay, for the social media management package, if the customer, does the customer has to provide the picture, the text, and everything as well? And then Brett say that they need to provide an explanation of what they are trying to achieve with the campaign. But the problem is, if my client doesn't know anything about Google ad or Facebook ad campaign at all, then can we help or no?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The reason we have to ask for at least a basic understanding of what it is they're trying to achieve here is that there's a lot of options for each individual thing. Facebook ads alone has countless different types of ads that they can run, and it's not at all uncommon for somebody to come to us who it's Greek to them. They have no idea what it does, why they need it, or they just purchased it at the recommendation of somebody they trust. And in those circumstances, we will of course discuss them, the options that are available, and go and hold their hands through the whole thing. We can make suggestions. In some cases, we even have clients who want basically nothing to do with it. They're like, I trust your judgment, and under which cases we still will explain what we're doing and why, and try to educate them in as much as they are open to learning. If they're not, and some clients just aren't, and that's okay, we'll still send them the reports. And as the web center owner, if you want to be involved in that, we will of course, we're always happy to CC you on those things and discuss those things with you. If the client doesn't want to talk to us directly, we'll talk with you and make sure that you know what's going on. So if they ask you questions, you are prepared with answers. And
okay.
So basically, to expound on that a little bit, so basically what we are going to do is we're the experts. So we don't necessarily know them and their business, but they do. So what we're going to do is we're going to bridge the divide between what they know about their business and what, you know, Facebook is able to do for them by asking them pointed questions and kind of guiding them through the process. So they may not know exactly how to dial in all of the metrics and all of the, excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Man, it's dry out here in the desert.
Yes,
So,
it is.
hopefully, Randy, you have a bottle of water standing by because you've been doing all the talking.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, good. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to gather the information from them by basically asking them targeted questions, and they don't necessarily realize how much they know about things because they don't think they're an expert, but they are an expert. They're an expert in their business. So we're going to try to, you know, extract that information from them and ask them those pointed questions and try to, you know, get out from them, what is their call to action? Do they want people to land on a specific web page? Do they want people to install an application? You know, do they want people to like their page? So these are all different calls to action. And even though they don't know exactly how to do all these things, they may have an agenda in their head, and we'll, you know, help extract that from them.
I see.
That's great. And Son, I think we as WebCenter owners, we sometimes find those clients that they think they hire us as their marketing agency to take it all over. We're going to represent everything, but even we don't know anything. And you at WebCenters don't know everything, but they know their business. So to Brett's point, we need to kind of work with them in order to get that. Same thing happens with design. Oh, well, build me a website. Okay, well, what kind of layout do you like? What kind of design? What kind of color themes, right? That's all important information. But a lot of times our clients just think, okay, well, I'll pay you the money and you do it. But until we actually know what their end goal is, we can't help them get there. So you and your teams do a great job with all of that for sure.
Okay, got it. Okay, so then I have another question about the SEO package.
Sure.
So I guess I have another client, right? Of course, he doesn't know anything about SEO and all that. So he had a website before built, but the website was built just because everyone told him that, oh, you need a site. So the website was built because of that. But then, you know, he kind of know a little bit about like keywords and all of that. But of course, he asked me, how do you measure a success of an SEO package?
Okay. That's a pretty good question. One of the big thing with SEO and our SEO packages is we do have to work, as I believe I discussed a little bit earlier, with what they have. So in some circumstances, before we even begin, we'll talk to them about adding other things, doing some additional things. But worst case, if they don't want to add anything else, we'll of course optimize what's there. The closing report that we do, in many cases, we discuss specifically keywords. We do an initial check of both the keywords that they've requested and ones that we suggest when they first come into us before we begin all of the actual projects. And then we do another one at the end. In some cases, we'll discuss the individual keywords that we recommend, ones that they may not be weren't specifically looking for. I'm trying to avoid going into lots of industry jargon here. You have to, please forgive me. I say long-tailed keywords, that means very little to the vast majority of people. But we'll explore long-tail keywords. We'll explore local variants. We'll explore all the various things like that and show them how they're ranking, how it's changed. The closing report will go into all of the details of the individual things that we have changed. We can't, of course, guarantee rankings. I actually had written a little bit of a script to try to keep myself on target earlier that went into that in detail, but I abandoned it. Any company, SEO company, that tries to promise page 1 rankings, number 1 rankings, anything like that, are not being truthful with you, simply because the matter of it's the nature of the beast.
Okay.
There's so many moving parts, and so much unknowns, how much competition. It varies from place to place. So when we can show actual movement in the search, then that is one of the big metrics we want to point out. And the big thing that we want to show to them, and one of the things that the report does in the majority of it, is showing them all of the technical fixes that we've done, what we fixed, how that helps them, why it was done, how to keep it from being broken again in the future, and give them really just the best possible opportunity for ranking in their particular field for the keywords that they're looking for, and make sure that they are as ready to face that online battle that's going to be there on any given day than they could possibly be, and they're armed with as much knowledge as they are able to retain, and they can always ask us questions if they have any questions about anything that was done, things that they can do going forward. We're always happy to make suggestions. We're very nitpicky, so we can usually find something to suggest, and we show them hard numbers as much as possible. When that's not possible, we go into what was done, why, how that helps, and help to make sure that they're knowledgeable.
Yeah, because I guess like most of the time, you know, like my client, they just care like, okay, if I do SEO, will I get new clients to my business, something like that.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely, yeah. ROI, return on investment tracking, is not something that we're currently equipped to do. The cost of ROI tracking would raise the cost of the packages that we have and take them out of reach of a lot of individuals. It's something that I would love to grow into one day in the future, but right now we keep ourselves small and lean so that we can make ourselves available to anyone and everyone, no matter what their financial situation is for their business. And so unfortunately, we lose a little bit of being able to talk about tracking ROI over a long period of time and stuff like that, but we can always promise that your site will be in better position to rank, in better position to compete than it was before they came to us.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Would you say that for someone who's looking for those types of specific results rather than just better ranking, they're looking for results, they're looking for that call to action, as Brett had said, would they they'd be better off with maybe an ad package like a Google advertising or a Facebook ad campaign, where maybe they have a little bit more behind them to kind of rate those conversions?
Well, ideally, we're always willing down to make suggestions, because even when it comes to like a Facebook ad or a Google ad, the landing page matters. And that's something that's a thing that a lot of people don't want to hear when it's like, well, we're getting you lots of traffic coming from the ad, but once it gets to the website, you need to do something with them. There needs to be something there to actually capture them. Just earlier this week, I was in a fairly lengthy conference with another WebCenter owner discussing landing pages, specifically coming from both a Google Adwords campaign and a Facebook ads campaign, separate landing pages for each one that had certain calls to action, forms to fill out along with offers in order to entice them to actually do that. And we will always discuss strategy with them if they're willing to do that. Sometimes, in some cases, it's the WebCenter owner who takes that particular position. Because I would love to be able to say that each individual part is, shiny and super productive in and of itself, but it's really all pieces of a puzzle. And if we can help them connect the dots and make sure that they're armed with the knowledge, or their WebCenter owner who is representing them is armed with the knowledge to be able to track in hard numbers return on investment, then it's something that we're always happy to do. Even if it's not something that we offer personally, we're always willing and happy to give direction and advice.
Yeah, that's great. It's kind of like the company that wants phone calls. I want more phone calls to my business. Well, if it always goes to voicemail and you never call anyone back, that's not our problem. We got you phone calls.
Right, or you don't have a phone number at all on your website, which you'd be surprised how oftentimes we see that.
Right. And even though we don't necessarily have all of these tracking mechanisms in place to generate all of these automated reports that a lot of businesses might be looking for, there are ways that they can do it themselves, and in all actuality, they would have to do it themselves because there are certain things that we just couldn't track. How are we possibly going to track foot traffic going into their place of business if we're not actually there with the, the little Costco, the little tracker tracking all the people that are coming into the location? So,
Okay.
we're gonna give them those recommendations. We're gonna say, okay, look, if you want to track the efficacy of this campaign, you can't have one phone number. You've got to have two phone numbers, because you've got to have your one main number, and then now you have to have this dedicated number that's tied to this campaign, so that you can track all the specific calls that were made to that number, because this campaign is tied to this number, whereas their general phone number is their broad 800 number. So, those are two different ways that we can't really track things for them. They're going to have to track it themselves. So, we're going to give them those sorts of, little golden nuggets of advice and try to get them on the right path. But, certain things they're just going to have to do on themselves. And hey, look, they're the business owner. They're going to want to and need to do it themselves if they want to have any insight into their business and make sure that they're, throwing their ad dollars around in the right way.
Yeah, I've been doing this now for about 10 years. And in my experience, the vast majority of the people that actually care about those numbers, that are invested enough to care, are the same kind of people that are appreciative of advice, that will follow advice, that that can be directed and instructed, and that we can help them out in ways that will edify them and make them feel like they're actually taking part in the process of promoting their business and watching their success grow.
That's great. Son?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty informative. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. I have another one. So I guess our design package of our web design package is only for our platform, right? I mean, you can't just let's say I have someone that has a Wix website, and then they want to, someone to redesign their Wix website only. Then we don't do that, right?
Right. That's correct.
Okay.
Unless something's changed that I'm not aware of, that's outside of my purview.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. So design packages are specific for our own website platform. Randy, I've got a question for you,
Sure.
and maybe you can add some insight. Where do you feel Google My Business falls into digital marketing? We're hearing more and more about how you got to play nice with Google, have a good listing with Google. Is that something that could be handled on online reputation management? Is that something that gets handled with an SEO? Is that something that we even do?
We have done it in the past. We can still do it. It is actively important for a certain subsect of business types. There is, I don't know if any of you have heard the very specific industry term, your money or your life, YMYL, sites or businesses. YMYL designates businesses that directly impact your money or your life. So doctors, lawyers, financial consultants, anything of those lines. Facebook has made it has enacted more stringent requirements for them. It's not something that anybody really ever talks about. It's not something that you would have just seen on the news in most cases. And in cases like that, there are certain factors that are important to everyone, but become extra important. In cases like those, we would absolutely, at the very least, suggest a Google My Business setup, especially if you have a physical location. One of the limitations to the Google My Business with the physical address is they do require verification that they're the business owner or that we're representatives thereof. So they'll either send a physical postcard that has a code that needs to be given back to us so that we can set that up, or that will call them at the listed business number and give them that code that we need to be set it up, and we have to coordinate that. because that code's only good for a limited amount of time. So many clients who just don't want to be bothered with it, we obviously can't force them to do it. We can only suggest. And if they take our suggestion, then of course we'll help them set that up. And we'll very vehemently suggest it if they fall within the your money or your life category. And it's a similar thing that we'll also suggest that, you know, you find any individual, why am I blanking out on the word here? It is late on Friday and it has been a very busy week. Places like databases that cover, like, you know, local lawyers, Better Business Bureau, stuff like that, that help add authority and trustworthiness to a site. It's not just code that's pretty and text that is user-friendly and understandable. Those are very important, but in these days where there's so much untruthfulness and cons and stuff online, that authority and trustworthiness are very important, and they're vital in those fields. So we'll always recommend it. It's a matter of, as with so much, the client's willingness to help us with things that we can't unfortunately do on our own. I really wish that we could, but we have to work with what the client will allow us to, you know, will work with us to do, but we'll always suggest it, and where possible, we'll do the setup for them, so long as we can get the code from them as needed.
All right, so would that be handled more in an SEO package, or be handled in an online reputation management package?
It'll most definitely be handled in online reputation management. For SEO, we always recommend it for your money, your life. And if anybody else ever requested or talks about it or wants to talk to us about it, we'll help them with that as well. But for online reputation management, always.
Okay, great. We're seeing a big surge in social media with the, you know, invention of stories, Facebook stories, Instagram stories, becoming, you know, highly engaging. Sponsored ads. Are the Facebook ad campaigns or even social media management, are you guys doing that or offering any services in the stories sector of those social networks?
Well, I mean, as far as like creating the stories, it's just basically a specialized kind of post. So, and though a lot of people like to do videos for stories, video stories are the most common ones that you see. So if the client can provide us with a video, we can absolutely set one of those up for them. And if they want to promote a post, Facebook ads can definitely do that. It's one of the many types of ads that are actually available on the Facebook platforms. Either you can do more traditional ones, like trying to get your page likes or sending someone to a specific landing page on your website or really anywhere online. But promoted posts are a great way to promote an event, to promote a sale, a store opening, anything like that. We've done plenty of them over the years. They're comparatively cheap budget-wise because they have a more limited reach than a more traditional style of ad, but it's absolutely something that we can do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and maybe we should touch on exactly what they are. So stories are meant to be like ephemeral, kind of go off into the ether as soon as they're set to just disappear. So the reason why a lot of people want to do those sorts of posts is because, you know, obviously if it's something that's ephemeral, it's going to go away in some, you know, time frame. So if it's going to go away in some sort of time frame, it creates this sense of urgency. Oh, you know what? I better go and check this out because I'm not going to be able to access this content in, you know, 1 day or 12 days or whatever the time frame is that it's supposed to be around.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I've learned a tremendous amount. I've got some ideas. I've got 3 pages of notes in front of me right now. And I'm excited because I think there's a lot of things that we can do. Brett, I'd love to have a follow-up, and maybe Randy, Brett, we can get together and have a meeting. I think we're in the process of kind of updating some of our assessment sheets that we use as WebCenter owners to gather information up front in an initial consultation. And I think those can certainly be reworked, and I think there's a lot that we can do to improve the quality of the appointments that we can bring to the DMP department, but then also provide a lot of that information up front to make the closing process easier. So I'd be looking forward to do that. Does anyone else have any other questions, comments, concerns for Randy or Brett today?
I have one more questions.
Sure.
This is related to the web design process. I have a question. So let's say initially a customer paid for let's say a 5-page custom design, and then during the process he realized that, oh, I need another 5-page design. So do we how do we how do we handle that situation from there? You know, like can the client still purchase an extra?
Yeah, so they will work with their project manager, and they can add on pages during that process for sure. I've had many clients do that myself, Son. So they're in the process of going back and forth and realizing that they need an extra 1 page or 5 pages, or something comes up where they're in the process of design, their business is shifting, and they comes up with something else. So they can certainly add on to their existing package. So just work with their project manager to do so.
What if they purchase a 5-page design and then later on they realize that, oh, my site only need 1 to 2 pages. So what happened at that time then?
Well, the way that I look at it is it's not 5 pages, it's up to 5 pages.
Yeah.
We have a 1-page design, we have an up to 5-page design, we have up to 10 pages, and then up to 10 pages with e-commerce. So if they decide that they only have 3 pages, well, they're still going to purchase an up to 5-page design, because if they purchase 3 individual pages, it would still be more costly that way. So their package is actually for up to that amount.
Okay. What if they don't even know, like, oh, I don't know how many pages I need to be designed, then how do we go from there? Like, so I'm trying to see like the best possible way for me to set up the pricing before the sales appointment.
I would first ask them the questions whether or not they think they want to have a 1 custom page where they're going to copy and paste that, and really they just need a template to follow, or if they're looking for just a landing page. That's an easy question, because that will determine whether they just want 1 page. Outside of that, you can ask them, are you looking for a services page, an about us page, a contact page? And then you'd recommend the 5-page, and in that process they'll know if they're going to need more than that. So it's really just a question if they need 1 or more pages, and that's where I would start in the questioning. And we can handle more of those questions either through the support group. I know Randy's really on the digital marketing side, not the design side, but we can get you involved with Gaby and Brett, myself, or emails, and answer those questions more specifically.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? All right. Well, as always, I appreciate all your time, and Randy, phenomenal job. Thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, your expertise, and being able to talk about this really technical level subject matter in a way that we can all understand. We appreciate that, and we're looking forward to having you on for future sessions for sure.
I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Great. Any other final comments, Brett or Randy?
Nope, not for me. If you ever have any questions before a sale or anything like that, you can reach out to me. Do keep in mind, in addition to answering questions, I do plenty of other actual optimizations and things like that. I try to respond to you as quickly as possible, but the customer always comes first. But even said, I'm still always happy to answer questions as quickly as I can. And we want to make sure that your clients are getting the proper services, that you're able to make the sales, and that you have happy clients who then tell other clients, and that's how we grow.
That's fantastic. So yeah, you can call into the tech support line, and also you can email help@mawebcenters.com. And just a reminder, if it is more on the Market America side with commissions and BV, you can email us at mawebcenters@marketamerica.com, and we'll route that accordingly. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Randy, thank you. Brett, thank you very much. And we'll look forward to having more sessions very soon.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you. Take care.